Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the MLB DFS Core Pick video for today, Monday, April 15th. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. Typically, we do have a recap of yesterday's picks. Unfortunately, we have not had a video since technically on Wednesday last week, so we'll not be doing that. For the people that were kind of looking for the video out on Friday, do apologize for that. Had a couple other things I did need to take care of last week. It was a very, very hectic week. And then Thursday, with the early start time right around noon or so, by the time, I make all the content, put it together, edit, upload, and everything, the content was only going to be good for about maybe 2 hours. So on days like that where it's a little bit earlier, probably not going to get to the video just in general. If it's like a 2 o'clock start time or something, it'll still be out there. But when you get those new ones where it's a really quick turnaround, it's a little bit tougher to do just in general. But in terms of today, be talking about the weather report, be going over to my core picks on FanDuel, which is going to be one pitcher, 4 hitters. It's going to be guys that stand out based on their history and their respective matchups and recent history as well. And then after that, we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet, which is up on the Sports Affiliation website, and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for tonight's slate overall. But without further ado, we'll get started with that weather report. There is really only one game that's got any chance of rain tonight, and that is the New York Mets and the Pittsburgh Pirates. That game's out in New York, 15% chance out there. Other than that, everything is either in a dome today or has 0% chance. So really good day in terms of weather for baseball overall for tonight. So with that being said, we'll jump right over to FanDuel and talk about those core picks for today. So once again, it's going to be one pitcher, 4 hitters. It's going to be based on a combination of past performance and their respective matchups and recent histories. So pitcher position, there's a lot of different guys you could go with today. I went with the cheap option here, Martin Perez at $8,000. And I think what I'm going to be doing a little bit more starting now is kind of look at what these guys have done so far in the season too as well. So we're going to bring up each player as we're kind of talking through it. Martin Perez, a really strong start to the year, $8,000. Averaging just under 35 fantasy points per game. ERA is under 2 at this point in time. He does have the one lone win. Coming off a really, really strong performance where I do believe he pitched like 8 innings. So he's one of those pitchers that's going to be pretty consistent. Probably going to get you that quality start. Not going to get you a ton of strikeouts typically. It is a decent matchup tonight versus the New York Mets. His history versus them in the past is a little bit more hit or miss. But, it's a lot of guys that are like 3 for 8. Or, 4 for 11, stuff like that. So it's nothing too crazy right home about. The only guy that's really hit him decently well in the past is Starling Marte, 4 for 8 with a home run. But this Mets team has been struggling to start the year, so definitely do like the upside Martin Perez could have. He had 2 appearances versus them last year. They both did come out of the bullpen, though, so it was 12 and 18 points. So I'm not going to write too much home about that, but definitely like his upside today. If you want to pay up for a different pitcher, you can definitely do that. On the lower end, Martin Perez is just my favorite, but if you want to get up to Tyler Glasnow, if you want to get up to Sonny Gray, if you want to get up to Merrill Kelly, feel free to do so. There's a lot of different ways that we can approach tonight's slate overall. Then we're going to move down to second baseman, Jorge Polanco. He's $2,500, so a pretty reduced price tag at this point in time. He's going against Frankie Montas of the Cincinnati Reds tonight. He's 2 for 6 versus him in his career. And if you look at what Jorge Polanco's done so far to start the year, it doesn't look too pretty. It's the 196 average, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, under 7 fantasy points per game. But he's $2,500, so we're buying low here. And if you look at what he's done lately, he's on a modest 3-game hitting streak. And in his last 12 games, he's got at least 1 hit in 10 of them. But the kind of downside to him so far this year is he has no multi-hit games whatsoever. So if we can get 2 hits out of him tonight, if we can get, a home run or a stolen base or something like that, $2,500 is going to look like a pretty decent play. And at the very least, we're probably getting 1 hit out of him, and he's probably not going to be a guy that completely kills our lineup at $2,500. So like the upside there, there is a little bit of downside, but seems like a relatively safe floor for $2,500 as well. Then we're going to move down to third baseman Nolan Arenado. He is $3,000. Kind of a weird start to the year for him overall. He's got the 273 average, 1 home run, 8 RBIs. Average under 8 fantasy points per game, though. So if you look at what he's done kind of as late, it's a 4-game hitting streak. He's hit safely in 13 out of his last 14. There's only 3 multi-hit games on the season. Not a lot of double-digit performances. So that's kind of his one downside so far. Hasn't hit for power yet to start the season. Going against Ross Stripling today, though, he is 7 for 15 with 1 home run versus him in the past. Stripling's coming off a really terrible start, so do like the Cardinals just in general tonight. Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, not off to the greatest starts in the world, but both those guys do have really good history versus Ross Stripling in the past. So we're kind of betting on that. A little bit of a down price tag for Nolan Arenado at $3,000 as well. Then we're going to move down to our final two hitters. They're both going to be in the outfield. We're going to start off with Fernando Tatis Jr. at $3,800. Goes against the Milwaukee Brewers and Joe Ross tonight. He is 2 for 2 versus Joe Ross in his career. If you look at what Fernando Tatis has done so far on the season, he's on a modest 4-game hitting streak. He has hits in 14 out of his last 17 games, and 4 of those games have been multi-hit games. So if you look at it in total, 290 average, 5 home runs, 12 RBIs on the season, averaging just under 13 fantasy points per game. Definitely do like his upside tonight at $3,800. Like I said, he's been hitting the ball pretty well as of late. There is some potential for multi-hit game there or hitting for some power. Maybe even runs into a stolen base tonight as well. And then last but not least, we're going to our second outfielder, Brian Reynolds, $3,400. You know, it's decent history versus Adrian Houser tonight. He was the 4th guy in my core, 5 for 18 with 1 home run versus Houser in his career. He's hit safely in 5 out of his last 6 games, 2 multi-hit games during that time span. And if you look deeper, kind of what he's done on the season, we're going to kind of scroll through. It's been a really weird year for Brian Reynolds. So, like, the beginning of the year was very, very hit or miss, but he did start off like the 5-game hitting streak. He had 3 multi-hit games during that time span. I had a couple of offers here, but there was the multi-hit game. So you either getting a multi-hit game out of him or you're getting an offer. It's kind of what it's been so far this season. So I like that upside tonight overall, $3,400. If you look at it in total, it's the 254 batting average, 2 home runs, 11 RBIs. Obviously, a guy that can steal bag here and there. So a little bit of power speed combo. If we can get either one tonight, it's going to look a little bit better for him overall. And just do definitely like that upside. Adrian Houser's not a pitcher that's going to scare anyone whatsoever. Even if he does have a little bit of decent history versus the Pirates in the past, had a decent start versus them last year, but it's still not a long track record at that. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do currently have listed, you have $14,300 remaining, just under $3,600 per player. So a good amount of money remaining. So if you want to spend up on the other spots, you can definitely do that. Once again, at pitcher, you can definitely spend up from there. If you want to get to Sonny Gray, if you want to get to Merrill Kelly, if you want to get to Tyler Glasnow instead of Martin Perez, you can definitely do that tonight. A lot of different paydown options in terms of a hitter perspective. Not a long list of history out there for hitters today, just because a lot of the matchups are some of these young pitchers going against teams, so there's not a long list of history there to be had at that. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet for today and talk about my top GPP stacks for tonight overall. So once again, the cheat sheet is 100% free. It is up on the Sports Affiliation website, so definitely be sure to check it out over there. I will be leaving a link to that down in the comments below. But in terms of the top GPP teams that I do have to stack tonight, so all 4 of these teams, I believe, are going against pitchers that they've never faced before. Some of these guys are making their MLB debut as well. So we have the Arizona Diamondbacks are going against Ben Brown of the Chicago Cubs. This will be his 4th career appearance, 2nd career start. He does have a little bit of prospect pedigree, but does seem like a matchup that will favor the Arizona Diamondbacks tonight. There is obviously no history there in the past. And then for the Braves, they are going against Spencer Allegretti, I believe it is. And he is coming off a very, very rough first start for the Houston Astros. This is his 2nd career MLB start. Going against the Braves is a pretty favorable matchup for them just because they are that really good lineup. He and Allegretti is a guy. He'll get some strikeouts, but he'll also walk a lot of guys too. So there is a lot of run potential there tonight. And then we have the Los Angeles Dodgers. Last time I checked, it is projected to be Mitchell Parker on the mound for the Washington Nationals tonight. He would be making his MLB debut. We'll see if that changes as the day moves along. Obviously, there's no history there before, but a pretty rough spot to get your MLB debut going against the Dodgers overall. And then last but not least, we have the Kansas City Royals, whose offense has been decent so far this year, especially as of late. They're going against Nick Nostrami for the Chicago White Sox, who is also making his MLB debut tonight. Royals might not be too scary on paper, but they've been hitting the ball well as of late, and they just did go against that Spencer Allegretti for Houston not too long ago, who was also making his MLB debut, and they got after him pretty hard. So I wouldn't be shocked if it's the same result tonight versus Nostrami, who, has the 2 starts at AAA this year, and the ERA is up over 7 at that as well. But with that being said, that's pretty much what I do have for today's video in terms of the weather report, in terms of the core picks, and the top GPP stacks. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comments, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. If there's any other updates to be had throughout the day, we'll be leaving it down there, as well as any updates to the core. I will be posting as many of the starting lineups as I can get to this afternoon Once again, it's Monday, so we got a baseball game going on. Probably about 4 o'clock or so is kind of be the cutoff time for me. So any starting lineup that does come out prior to that will be listed down in the comments below. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, we got MLB DFS in terms of the core pick videos Monday through Friday. Obviously, last week was a little messed up, so I still do apologize for that. But this week's looking a lot better. We'll be on it pretty much every single day, unless we get one of those like super early slates, where it's starting at noon or something like that. And then I also do have my UFL DFS video coming out once a week, typically on Fridays. We'll probably see if I can start getting that out maybe on Thursdays. Just going to kind of depend on the week and kind of the news that we do have ahead of time. But definitely be on the lookout for that if that's something you're interested in as well. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for Parlay Play, Prize Picks, and BetUS. If you are a brand new user on any one of those 3 sites, when you sign up, you make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks and Parlay Play, it's 100% match up to $100. And then for BetUS, it's 125% match up to $2,500. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. And then with that being said, if you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comments or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tune in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you has a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in MLB DFS tonight.